I just want to remind everybody that I'm here to just kind of lead the way, but this is your practice. So please, please, please listen to your body and do what makes you feel good. If anything brings you pain today, back off. This is not like working out where it's like no pain, no gain. This is yoga, which it's about listening and getting in tune with your body, slowing it down maybe a little bit. You know yourself best. If you tend to be somebody that maybe backs away from stuff, maybe find the fire and maybe challenge yourself. If you tend to be somebody that really pushes really hard, maybe this is your chance to kind of back off a little bit and find the ease and find the grace for yourself. So we'll start in a seated position on your mat. And everybody can hear me okay? Is that true? Anybody want to give me feedback on that? You can still hear me from here and see me. Okay, so we're just going to start in a seated position. Legs are crossed. Oops, I'm going to grab my book here. And finding a nice tall seat, kind of a comfortable seat. Maybe letting your hips roll forward just a tad bit, so you're sitting kind of right on the edge of the blanket or the towel, whatever you have rolled up, so that your hips are kind of rolled forward a little bit. It doesn't matter which leg is in front or back, whatever feels most comfortable for you with a cross leg position. Finding tallness in your spine, so thinking as if there was a nice string that came from the base of your seat and came all the way through you, all the way through the ceiling, and was kind of pulling you up almost like a marionette puppet. And we're going to do a breathing technique, which is called alternate nostril breathing technique. And it is a great technique to do to help reduce anxiety, to help relax the body and relax the mind. And it gives kind of what we call the monkey mind something to kind of think about, and then also to kind of slow ourselves down a little bit. So the way that this is practiced is that the left hand stays on the left thigh. The right hand reaches up towards the nostril. So you're going to bring the right hand in front of the face. You're going to place your pointer finger and your middle finger on your forehead. So right about the third eye level, if you've ever heard of that. And then also, which gives you your ring finger on your left nostril and your thumb on your right nostril to plug. And so what we're going to be doing is we'll be alternately plugging and unplugging it. And I'll lead you guys through a couple rounds of it, and then I'll let you guys do a couple rounds on yourself. So we're going to plug the right nostril with the right thumb. So plug that up. You're going to completely breathe out everything out the left nostril. Great. We're going to breathe in through the left nostril all the way up, nice and slow breathing, bringing it to the top. And then with the ring finger, you're going to plug that left nostril for just a quick second, pause, and then you're going to let the thumb go. So the thumb comes off the right nostril, and then we're going to breathe out through that right nostril, all the way out, full out in exhale. And then a full inhale all the way up in that right nostril. When you get to the very top, plug with the thumb, unplug with the ring finger, exhale all the way out the left side. So you've just done one round. So we're just going to do the same thing a few rounds over together. So inhale through that left nostril all the way up. Plug that left nostril with the ring finger, hold both nostrils closed. Let the thumb come out, exhale through the right nostril all the way, sitting nice and tall. Inhale through the right nostril, plugging that right nostril. Exhale through the left. That's round number 2. Inhale through the left nostril. Plugging at the top. Exhaling out the right. Nice, long, deep, slow breaths. Inhaling through the right. Full of air. Plug both nostrils. Out through the left. In through the left. Slowing it down. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Pausing with both nostrils closed. Exhaling. And I'm going to leave you to do 5 more rounds on your own. Great, and then bringing your right hand back down to your lap to meet where your left hand is. Just keeping your eyes closed for a second, bringing one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly. Taking a couple full breaths, see what it feels like, the difference it feels to breathe out of both nostrils. Noticing the feeling tone, does it feel different after doing that breathing technique? Where's your mind? Just noticing, not judging, just being an observer. And then just taking a second here to just set an intention for class. I like to just choose one word. If you can just think of one word. Mine has been presence for a really long time, just to be present. So just kind of coming up, boiling it down to one word and just repeating that to yourself 3 times. Beautiful. And then flicking the eyes open. And we're going to reach our arms up and overhead. So nice tall spine. And we're getting ready to fold forward. So we're just kind of crawling our fingers out in front of us. Whatever leg is in front here, keep that foot flexed towards the shin. That's going to protect that front knee. And then you're just going to let your body just walk it out, walk your hands out straight in front of you. Allow your chest to come down towards your feet here. Keeping with those nice, full, slow, and deep breaths. So just trying to marry your movements with your breath, letting your breath be the thing that moves your practice here. Great, and then walking the hands out to the left side. So all the way to the left, you should feel a nice stretch all the way across that right side body there. Couple deep breaths there. Seeing if you can keep that right shoulder down. It kind of wants to lift up. So can you kind of twist a little bit with the body there? Great, and then bring it back to center, over to the right side, feeling that nice stretch across that whole left side body, from that whole left hip all the way to those left fingertips, reaching out. Great, bringing it back to center, switching the legs up. So whatever leg you had in front, switch the other leg to in front. We're doing the same thing on the other side. So coming up nice and tall spine, sitting up tall. Exhale, folding forward, walking those hands out in front of us, folding over, keeping that front foot flex towards the shin. That'll protect that front knee. Great, and then walking the hands over to the left side. One big breath there. And then over to the right side. Beautiful, and then walking the hands back towards the body, sitting up nice and straight. And then we're gonna take a turn to the right side. So right hand comes to the right hip, and then left arm reaches behind us, sitting up tall, trying not to fall back into that left arm. So nice tall spine, and then twisting from the mid body, seeing if you can initiate that twist from the mid body instead of just wrenching into the lower back. Breath here. If you'd like to look over the left shoulder, maybe. Beautiful. And then coming back for the other side, nice and tall spine, twisting to the right side. Left hand comes to left thigh, right hand reaches behind, opening those shoulders up, sitting nice and tall, finding that breath again, twisting from the mid body there, allowing the core to do some of the work here instead of just pushing into the hands. One more breath. Great, and then inhale, bringing it back to center. Perfect, and then we're gonna come to an all fours position. So you can move your towel or blanket. We're not gonna need it for the rest of the time, so you can just set that aside wherever you'd like to. Great, and then we're gonna come to an all fours position. In an all fours position, we're gonna have our hands directly under our shoulders. Our knees are gonna be directly under our hips here. Toes are curled under. So that's our normal all fours position. But this time I want you to walk your hands just a little bit closer to your knees. So we're kind of in a little bit more of a closer all fours position. So a little bit closer to the knees. You're gonna spread the fingers nice and wide, and then you're gonna shift the body weight forward. So you're gonna get a nice stretch on the wrist. Be gentle with yourself here. We're just starting to warm the wrists up. So you're gonna shift back and forth, nice and slow, opening up those forearms, opening up the fingers. So a couple rocking back and forth. Whew, I feel that one. Great, doing some circles. So pick a direction you want to go. Any direction's great. We're going to be kind of on our hands a lot tonight. So I think it's always really important to warm the wrists up before you do any practices that are really intensive on being on your hands and your wrists, just to protect them, and then switch directions, whatever way you were going, switch the direction. Great, keeping the hands about where they are. Flip the wrist towards yourself, and you're going to be on the back side of the wrist. So palms are facing up, fingers are pointing towards the knees, and then you're going to slowly, it doesn't take much, sit back onto your feet here. And then you kind of go back and forth. Seeing if you can even remember the breath in a pose like this. Although it may not be strenuous, this is a great time to start practicing as you're moving back and forth, maybe inhaling, maybe you're exhaling as you kind of go back. So just always coming back to the breath. If you find that your mind's wandering during this practice, great, you're human. So does it for everybody. You're not alone in that. And that's why the breath is a great anchor for that. And then so keeping the hands right where they are, but just turning the fingers, now they're facing each other. So we're still on the back sides of the hands, palms facing up. And then we're just going to shift slowly side to side here. Just opening up both sides of the wrists. Great. Can you bring your thumb, so staying just like it is, bring your thumb to the center And then clasp your thumb. See if you can clasp your thumb in this position. I can't, but just it's a good practice to try. How interesting when our hands in this position. How hard is it to get your fingers around your thumb there? Great. And then relax them out again. Great. Coming and sitting back onto your feet. Either curls can be or toes can be curled under or flat on the ground. Shake those wrists out. So shake the wrists out for a minute. Whew. Perfect. Sitting nice and tall. You're going to take your hands out in front of you. So take the hands out in front. You're going to cross the left one over the right. Okay, so just the palms are facing opposite than each other. So follow me here. I'm going to get close so you guys can see this. So they're crossing like this. Now turn your palms to face each other. Perfect. And then clasp the palms. Okay. Yes, perfect. We're all looking good. And then all you're going to do is you're going to bring that whole package in towards yourself. Ooh, I know, tricky. Okay, perfect. Now we're here, and then pull down. Allow the shoulders to come out of your ears, and then pull the wrist down. You should get a nice stretch on one of those wrists. And breathe. You can kind of squeeze the fingers together. This is a great wrist stretch. It's kind of funny to get into, but it's one of my favorites. Perfect. And then unwind. Remember which one you had on top. So remember which arm you had on top. It doesn't matter which one. Now we're just switching it up. So switch whatever arm you had opposite. Great. Palms clasped together. Bring that whole beautiful package in. Twist it in and then lower it down. There's a tendency in these positions to really want the shoulders like to creep up. So can you lower the shoulders down and then pull, yes, and then kind of anchor down and breathe there. Great, and then unwind it, shake out those wrists if you need to again. Whew. I definitely felt that. If you're doing anything with your hands, typing, whatever, this is a great one to do to really unwind stuff. Great, we're gonna find all fours again. So the actual all fours position. Before we kind of move into flow stuff, I just wanna talk about being in all fours position and how important it is to make sure that we're spreading our fingers wide. So look down at your fingers, make sure they're spread wide, and then bring your thumb in just a little bit closer to your pointer finger, and then press in to the mat with your pointer finger and your thumb. That's going to keep it from dumping into the wrist onto the internal side there. So there's the tendency for the wrist to kind of collapse. So to keep the wrist from collapsing, press into the palm with the pointer finger and the thumb. You're kind of spreading the fingers wide and pressing in equally, but you really want to put some pressure into that. And especially as we go into our downward dogs and any of our other flow, this is a great way to protect your wrists, okay? So fingers are spread wide. We got a nice base going on. The knees are right under the hips. And then we're gonna drop the belly, open the chest. So we're going for cat-cow, open the chest, and then exhale, we're gonna round the spine. And we're doing cat-cow back and forth. Exhale, inhale, we drop the belly, we open and spread through the collarbone. And then exhale, we're rounding the spine here. Great, and if you'd like to, you can even move some like circular motions into it if you want to. This is just kind of warming the spine up. Beautiful. And then untuck the toes, spread the knees wide, sit back all the way back. Reach your arms way out in front of you for a wide-legged child's pose. If you like, bring your head to the mat. Take a couple breaths here. This is a beautiful posture to come to at any point during the practice that you need to kind of take a break or you just want to take a rest. If you don't know what to do, or if your wrists start bothering you and you're not sure what to do next, come here. And this is a beautiful pose to release the back and just ground down. So a couple breaths here. Maybe an exhale with the mouth open. letting the day go. And maybe thanking yourself for showing up tonight to your mat. Great. Inhale, coming back to all fours. And then we're going to press up. So make sure that your foundation looks good. You got those fingers spread. You're pressing in with the pointer finger and the thumb. You're going to curl the toes under if they're not already. So curl those toes under. And then you're going to keep the knees really bent and you're going to send the hips high up to the sky. So you're coming onto your toes. You're sending the hips up to the sky. And then you're pushing back with your arms, okay? The head comes in between the arms here. Keep the knees super bent here. This is maybe your first downward dog. Keep them bent. And then engage the stomach here to see if you could think about bringing your stomach towards your thighs here. The fingers are nice and spread wide for that base that we just talked about. That should be helping protect the wrist. And then see if you can move the shoulders out away from the ears. So once again, there's a tendency for that to want to crawl up. Can you kind of bring the shoulders back down? Think about bringing your shoulder blades down your back into your back pockets. And then if you like, you can pedal out those legs. So you bend one knee, then straighten one, kind of alternatively bending and straightening each knee alternatively. Great. Now staying here in your downward dog, pivot on your toes and shift just your ankles towards the left side. Should open up your right side body a little bit. And breathing into that right side body all the way up. Breathe your breath all the way into your rib cage here. See if you can open up those ribs. Great. Now shifting over, pivoting on the toes, shifting over to the right side. Opening that left side body up. Breathing your breath all the way up into the ribs here. Sending the breath all the way up. Beautiful. Great. Bend the knees a lot here. So bend the knees a lot with a lot of potential energy. Keeping your hands where they are. Look ahead. And you're going to step your feet nice and slowly between your hands. So you're going to get up to about your hands. Feet are about hip width apart here. Knees are super bent. And then we're going to straighten the legs out. So straighten the legs out first. We're coming to what's called a halfway up position, or a flat back position is what you might hear it called. But really it's more of like a flat back position is what I think. So you're straightening the legs as much as you can. You're going to place your hands on your shins or on the floor here for this one. Okay, so I'm going to place it on the shins. We're going to reach out and extend our spine out away from our lower body and really engaging that upper back. So instead of rolling our shoulders forward, can we roll our shoulders back in this position? Can we put our shoulder blades down into our back pocket and then extending even out through the crown of the head here? Couple breaths here. And then engaging the core to not dump into the lower back. Great. Bend the knees a lot. You're going to exhale into what's called a forward fold. If this is your first forward fold of the day, bend your knees as much as you want and let your belly hang on your thighs here. The hands can come wherever feels good. Maybe it feels nice to cross opposite elbows and sway back and forth. I like to shake my head yes. And maybe shake your head no. Whatever feels good for you here. Couple more breaths here in this lowered position. And then we're going to bend the knees a lot more again, and we're going to roll up really slow, vertebrae by vertebrae. Ooh, or vertebra by vertebra. Great. Coming into what's called Tadasana, which is a standing pose. You can either have your feet close together, touching, or about hip width apart, which I think is nice. Take a second to look down at your feet. A lot of times they're pointed out laterally. So take a second to Square your feet up with the mat. So you want your toes pointed forward if you can, which may feel like your kind of legs are internally rotated, and that is good. So you kind of want a little internal rotation going on there. So we're going to start breaking down kind of what is called the sun salutations. If you've ever done yoga before, we're going to go through each posture. I'm going to explain it to you, which we already did a couple of them here. And we're going to go through it, and then we'll go through it slowly, and then we'll go through it again, breath by breath. Okay, so that way you don't feel lost. So we're what's called Tadasana now, or it's usually a starting pose. So just basically pointing the toes forward. You're standing nice and tall, rolling the shoulders back and down, palms facing out, away. With an inhale, you're going to reach up to the sky. So inhale, reach up, but keep the shoulder blades down. So reaching up with the hands, shoulder blades are down. And exhale, we're going to forward fold, which we were just at. So arms swoop out and down for a forward fold. Remember, you can bend your knees as much as you need here. And you can either place your hands on your thighs or your shins or the floor, wherever you are at, meet yourself there. So you're exhaling into a forward fold. Great. And then you're going to inhale into that flat back position, which we just went to. So flat back position, hands on shins, reaching out. We're really looking for length here. So a couple breaths here again. And the legs are nice and straight as you can get them. Great. We're exhaling. We're forward folding again. We're going to bend the knees a lot. We're placing our hands down. So we're already spreading our fingers, getting ready to take that weight, just like we went over when we were in the cat-cow. So really pressing into that ring finger and thumb. And then we're going to step our feet way back. Huge, giant step back with both feet. We're coming into a plank position. So if you're coming into plank, or you can drop your knees and come into a modified plank. Both are great and amazing poses. It's up to you, whatever feels accessible for you. If you're in the lower plank, you lower the knees behind you. If you're up in the upper plank, look and make sure that your heels are right over your toes. I have to check all the time because I tend to go forward. So make sure that your heels are right over your toes. Your shoulders should be right over your hands here, and then really push the ground away with your shoulders so that you're not just slumping into it. So press the ground away here. You got this. We're gonna start building some fire here. And then engage the belly here. So really zip it up in the belly from the ribs to the pelvis here. You're kind of engaging here, kind of what they call a hollow body position. Great. And then we're gonna do a knees, chest, chin. So if you already have your knees down, great. If not, lower your knees now. So this is called knees. The hands are still on the ground. And then you're gonna lower, keep the butt high. So you're gonna kind of come into a back bend. So we're coming down, knees, chest, chin. So the chest and the chin come down and touch first. So take a look at what I look like right now. This is kind of what it should look like as you come down. The chin is, my eyes are facing up, chin, chest, and then I'm going to straighten my legs out. So straighten the legs out. You're going to, before we come up, we're going to keep our hands right where they are. They should possibly be, in a perfect world, they should be right under the shoulder, or right under the shoulders, and the elbow should be tucked in close to the ribs here, okay? We're going to press those feet into the floor. So press the shoelace edge into the floor. Gonna tighten up the glutes a little bit, tighten up the belly, and then press up with the arms. Just only as high as feels okay for you, as long as you're not putting pressure into that lower back. Great, we're gonna be here for just another breath. Rolling those shoulders down away from the ears again. Great, exhale, come down. And we're gonna come up for one more of those. So really press the shoelace edge of your feet into the floor, pelvis into the floor, glutes are engaged. So much to think about, I know. And then roll up from the upper back. See if you can not dump into that lower back. If it's pinching the lower back, come down a little bit. And breathe. Great, exhale, bring it down. Curl the toes under. Press back to your all fours. or straight up into downward facing dog. From all fours position, you're sending those hips high, 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 high again, and then pressing back. And to really get the length here, you can really think about really bringing your belly to the thighs, like I said, and see if that kind of changes the shape for you. And remember, it's not about the shape so much as it is about the journey of getting there, okay? Bend the knees a lot, look through your hands, and you know where we're going. We're gonna go right up to our hands here for a flat back position, or the halfway up position, which you know about. Great, breath here, extension, exhale, you're gonna forward fold, keep those knees bent if you need to, and then inhale, we're gonna come up, wings coming up, 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 reaching up to the sky, and then exhaling. Beautiful. So that's like the first part of sun salutations, you all. If you've never done a sun salutations, you can give yourself a pat on the back because you just did. So we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to match this with our breath now. So it's going to be a little faster. Don't worry, I'm going to lead you through it. So we go inhale, we reach up to the sky, shoulders down. Exhale, spread those arms wide, forward fold, hinging at the hips. Forward fold as steep as you'd like to. Inhale, that halfway lift position. Exhale, bend the knees a lot, plant the hands down on the ground, step the feet back to plank or modified plank, your choice. Hold that for a breath. Exhale, knees, chest, and chin. So bring the knees down if you were in a plank position, and then chest, chin, butt is up in the air, glutes up in the air, and then you're gonna flatten out, lay the legs straighten out. Inhale, you're gonna roll up for a low cobra. Really scoop that mat back as if you were scooping the mat towards you, but it's not actually moving. That's gonna bring length. Keep your gaze down here. Exhale, curl the toes under, press back to all fours or downward facing dog, and then up to downward facing dog. And we're gonna meet there. Whew, take a couple breaths here. Beautiful job, you all. Pedal out the feet. Lift the left leg up into the air. So the left heel is going to come up as if you had balloons attached to you. Keep the left hip down if you can. There's a tendency for the left hip to want to open up. See if you can keep the left hip down, which is going to put more, going to have to use that glute muscle a little bit more. Hold it there for a breath. Maybe another. Great. Shift forward, keep that foot up. Shift forward on your right toes. So you're shifting the weight forward. And then curl that left knee in, high. Bring it up, up, up towards your stomach as high as you can. Shift even more forward. You got it. Hover it. Breathe. And then step that left foot up between the hands. If you need to just take a hold of the foot and put it up there, great. However you get that foot up there is wonderful. And then drop that right knee behind you. Maybe you need to step it back a little bit to even get more of a lunge position. Left knee is directly over the left ankle. Right hip is moving forward. So as if I had a string pulling your right hip forward. So square those hips off. And then come up on your own timing here. Reach up, over. So we're just kind of finding length again. Up, and then on the exhale, you're going to twist towards that bent knee. A couple breaths here. So kind of like we were twisting when we were sitting down, see if you can get that twist now that you don't have the leverage of your leg here. See if you can get the twist to come out of your the middle of your body here. So thinking of kind of a towel wringing out. Your lower body's going one way, your upper body's going the other way. Great, one more breath here. Exhale, bring it to the middle. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, frame the foot. Place your hands down on the ground. Straighten that left leg and send the hips back. And either the toes can stay on the ground or the toes can come off the ground, your choice of the left foot. So just shifting those hips back. Inhale, shifting back to the lunge position. And exhale, shifting back to the modified pyramid pose. And we're gonna do a couple of those. Inhale, shifting forward. Exhale, shifting back. Don't forget to breathe. Inhale, shifting forward. Exhale, shifting back. Last one. Inhale, shifting forward. Really tacking that hip forward. And then on the exhale, tacking that left hip back as if somebody was pulling your left butt towards the back of the room. Great, stay here for a second. Shift it forward. Plant the hands down nice and firmly. Curl the right toes under. Pick up that right thigh. So active right thigh, really active here, active, and then in the legs and the arms, and then step your left foot back to meet your right. Plank position again, holding this for a couple of breaths. So you're either in the plank position or you're in modified plank position, your choice. Remember, if you're in the plank position, don't let your butt be too high. Don't let your butt be too low. Right about the middle, press that floor away with the shoulders. Great, holding it here. You got it. A couple more breaths. Great, come back to a downward facing dog. Inhale, lifting the right leg up. High, 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 keeping that right hip lowered down though. So that's gonna engage that right glute a little bit more, as if you had a balloon on that right heel. So there's kind of an internal rotation going on of that of the right leg here. Great, keeping that hip, or that, not the hip, the leg lifted high. Shift forward on those left toes, and then bend that right knee. Tuck it up as high as you can up into your chest. Shift forward a little bit more. Hover that right foot even more. You got this. And then place it between the hands. Lower that left knee down. If you need to scoot the left leg back a little bit, do so now. And then lower the left knee. Right knee is over the right ankle, and that left hip is moving forward. So as if you had a string pulling that left hip forward. Take a second to get set here. When you're ready, inhale, bringing the arms up. Great, exhale, twisting towards that bent knee. So remembering, can you not be too far forward? Can you not be too far back? Find what it feels like to kind of be in the middle. This is, if you feel a little off balance, this is a balancing pose. And then reaching behind you with that right hand, and breathe. Great, inhale, back to center. Exhale, framing the foot. Inhale to get ready to push back. Exhale, straightening that right leg, tacking that right hip back. Either keeping the toes flat on the ground or raised up, either your choice. Maybe you play around with it, whatever feels good. Great, inhale, shifting forward for that lunge position. Exhale, pressing it back. You know how to do this. We're doing a couple more. Notice if one side feels a little different than the other. You know, some days we can get into positions, no problems. Other days, you know, our body's different, it's dynamic. And each side is so different. Remembering to marry the breath with the movement. It's just all about noticing, about being inquisitive and questioning, investigative of our body, learning not to judge ourselves so harshly. Inhale, coming forward. Great, exhale, rolling it back. And hold there. Take a second to check in where you're at, where your mind's at. Is it still on the practice? Has it wandered a little bit now that it hasn't been as hard? Bringing it back to the breath, back to the practice. The shapes that we make with our body are only part of the practice. Helps us learn how to harness our own energy and our own minds a little bit better to get to really know ourselves a little bit more deeply. Great, shift it forward again. Plant those hands down, curl those left toes under, pick up that left thigh, step that right foot back for that plank position again. Yep, you know it. And then if you'd like to, you can lower knees, chest, and chin, or if you'd like to try a chaturanga, you can just basically come onto, you're up onto a plank position. You're gonna keep your elbows bent or really close to your body. So keep the elbows really close, and you're only gonna come down to about a 90-degree position there. And then you're gonna uncurl your toes and you come up to an upward facing dog, pressing up and rolling back. If that doesn't feel good, just go to what we've already been doing here. And then exhale, we're gonna press it back to a downward facing dog position. Inhale, look between the hands, hop or walk your feet up to meet your hands for that halfway up position, flat back position. Great, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, all the way up, 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 bring it on home. And then we're coming into a chair pose or fierce pose. So either bringing your feet close together, toes are touching, big toes are touching, or I like to do it about hip width apart. Okay, if you don't know how far hip width apart is, bring your two palms or your two fists together and bring them down. It should be about 2 fist width apart. Okay, a lot of us think that our hips are a lot wider than they are. So getting ready to come into our chair pose. We're gonna bend the knees and send the knees back as if you're sitting in a chair that's way too far behind you. So that chair, you wanna sit in that chair, but it's so far behind you, you can hardly reach it. So you're gonna sit back in that chair. A lot of the weight's gonna be on the ankle or on the heel part of the foot here. So the front part of the foot kind of becomes pretty light. There's a tendency to kind of want to roll our hips forward and dump in that lower back. So can you kind of bring your tailbone down? So you're bending the knees, but you're bringing the tailbone as if it was being pulled down to the ground here. Just tighten the navel up and then reach up to the arm with arms outstretched, keeping the shoulders out of the ears. I don't know about you, but my legs are already starting to burn. That's a good thing. This is a great way to be fierce. Be fierce. And then take your left hand to your left hip, get a little sassy here. And then right elbow is gonna come to the left thigh here, okay? Pressing open, we're twisting open. And then we can place our palms together, or you can put a fist into the palm and then roll that left shoulder back. Keep bending the knees. Keep the tailbone working its way down towards the ground. Great. I don't know about you, my legs are shaking. Inhale, still stay in that position, you got it. Right hand comes to right hip, sass it. And then left elbow comes to right thigh. And then palms together, rolling that right shoulder back and open. You got this. Where does your mind go when it gets challenging? How does it wander differently than when it's maybe not as challenging? What is your self-talk in these times? And how can you be more gentle with yourself? Inhale, reaching up, hold it. One more breath, you got it. Okay, great. Exhale, straighten the legs, forward fold. Nice job, everybody. Shake it out a little bit. Great, inhale, flat back position. Exhale, we're gonna step back to a plank position. Great, and then we're gonna press it back to a downward facing dog position. Perfect, we raise the left leg up again, just like we did 3-legged dog. Inhale, We're gonna place it between our feet. We're gonna keep our knee up this time. We're coming into a high lunge position. So before you come up into it, make sure that your knee, this is really important now that your right leg is not on the ground. Right thigh is super active, pressing up to the ceiling. Left knee is directly over your ankle here, okay? You don't want it too far forward. You want to make sure that you can see those toes, your whole foot you should be able to see here. Great. Find the balance between those right toes you're on and the left foot, and then kind of scissor them together, and then find the stability out of that. Work that right hip forward, just like we did when we were in the lower one, and then find a lunge position. Great, arms come behind, so clasping behind, or clasp opposite elbows. If you can't clasp the opposite hands, no problem, clasp opposite elbows. Reach open, open the heart up. Exhale, fold forward as far as feels good to you. Left shoulder to left knee. Humble warrior. This is one of my favorite poses. I love the name of it too. It's like fierce, but you're also going to be humble. It's a good mix. Great. Inhale, press it back up. Arms come up overhead. Hands come and frame that foot. Step it back to plank position. Great. And then we're going to place the right hand right in front of your face. So directly in front of you, and then shift over onto the knife edge of the right foot. So you're kind of it's a side plank position. Great. So legs are really active. There's a tendency for the hip to want to kind of droop down. Pick those hips up. You got this. If you like, the left arm can come up above head. And if you really want to take it for a challenge, maybe you lift that left leg off. Whew. Don't forget to breathe. Perfect. Left hand comes back down to meet the mat. Back to plank position. We're going for the other side. Left hand comes directly in front of the face here. Take a second to get set up. Stable base. Roll over onto the left knife edge of the foot. Open up. Right hand reaches to the sky. Left hip is moving away from the mat. Left shoulder is opening up. Great. And maybe we reach the right foot off the left. Up to you. Great. Bring it back down. Plank position. Lower knees, chest and chin. Or the chaturanga upward facing dog. Knees, chest and chin. Bring the elbows out in front of you. So you're placing your whole forearm on the ground, and then roll back for a little back bend. Perfect. Place the hands back underneath the shoulders. Press back to downward facing dog. Great. Right leg comes up. You know where we're going with this. And shifts forward. Perfect. Take a minute to get set. Left leg is really firm, active. Left glute is active. Right leg, right knee is directly above that right ankle there. Take a second to find your base here. The toes, your ankle on your left foot is right over the toes, just like in plank position. There's an energy coming together of the legs here. So that way you can find your lift, okay? Lift up if you like, or you just stay down, whatever feels good for you. If this feels great for you, awesome. If you'd like to come up, come up. And breathe. And then clasp opposite hands, whatever hand you had, clasp opposite. Whatever one feels awkward is probably the one that you didn't do. Reach up, find the length, little back bend, and lean forward, or you're clasping opposite elbows. Works too. and then lean forward onto that right thigh. Great, inhaling, bringing the arms up. Exhaling, framing that foot, stepping that right foot back to meet the left. Great, pressing it back to downward facing dog. Bend the knees a lot, look through the hands, step, and sit down. Bring it down. Whew, that feels nice, huh? Extend the legs out in front of you. Sit nice and tall here. Shake the legs out if you need to. I like to kind of take my fist and do a little pounding on the thighs after all that. Give yourself some love on your legs. That was a lot of work. Inhale, finding the length. Exhale, folding forward. Just as far as feels good to you. Maybe you clasp onto your shins or your pants, or maybe you reach your feet, up to you. Slowing it down a little bit. Great, rolling back onto your back. Take your time to get to your back here. Bringing your feet flat to the mat. Knees are bent and the toes are pointing forward, and your feet are pretty close to your bum, almost as if you could reach them with your fingers if you reach down. Okay. Roll your shoulder blades so they're together on the mat. So basically kind of squeezing your shoulder blades together so they're flat onto the mat. And then when you're ready, you're going to step up into your feet. Don't allow your knees to splay out. Sometimes the knees want to splay out. So keep the activation in the inner thighs here as you lift your hips up to the ceiling for a bridge pose. So lifting up here, holding that, squeezing the glutes a little bit. And as if somebody had strings on your knees and were pulling them away from you. Or if I had my hands and was pulling your knees away from you to find that length in the spine here. Great. Bring your arms overhead, come up onto your tiptoes, and then rainbow arc your arms and allow your spine to kind of come down nice and slow. We'll do another one just in case you weren't able to follow that. Oh, that feels so good after all that work. Great. So we're going to come up once again, all the way up, hips lift all the way up off the mat. High, 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 glutes are engaged, knees are together, not splaying out. The feet are really active. So really pressing into all corners of those feet. Great. Arms come up overhead, we come up onto the toes, and then slowly rainbow arc the arms over and slowly allow your spine to come down, down, down to the mat. Beautiful. Extend your left leg out, right knee stays bent, and then allow that right knee to come over to the left. And we're coming for a twist here, just as far as feels good for you. Reaching out with that right arm, left hand comes to the right knee if you want. Bringing it back to center. Bending the left knee, right leg extends, twisting over to the right side. Remember to be gentle on your lower back here. Great. And then coming to your final resting spot of Shavasana. So just basically, this is the time in the practice that you want to make yourself as comfortable as possible. You're just kind of laying on your back, whatever feels comfortable to you. If you want to stay with your knees bent, that feels good to you. If you want to maybe put your legs up a wall, bring your butt up to the wall and have your legs resting up against the wall. Anything that feels restful to you. So we just did all this work and we just shook it all up, as I always say, like a snow globe. And this is kind of the time that you did all this work and you shook it all up and got everything going and pressed your limits, tested yourself. And then this is kind of the time that just your body gets to kind of integrate all of that beautiful work that you showed up for. So this is the time that we get to reap the benefit of our practice here. Knowing that the work is done, you're safe and you're held here. And I'll wake you up in a couple minutes with a chime. And for now, just kind of allowing yourself to rest. Heavy body, heavy bones, solid floor, held in community with other queers. Knowing that we are not alone. Knowing that we have solidarity with each other. So you're slowly beginning to kind of wake your body up, taking your time, no rush to get anywhere. Rolling to one side or the other, whatever one feels safe. Just taking a minute to thank yourself for showing up to this practice. And kind of as we started with the question of how is it that we show up for other people that we love unconditionally in our life? What are those beautiful ways that we show up for other people? And knowing that it's just as important to be able to show up for ourselves or to allow ourselves to have that same kind of love and compassion from our own selves too. So in that honor, if you want to sit up with me and find yourself into a seated position. Thank you so much for co-creating this class with me, for showing up for yourself and for everybody else in this room. Thank you to the long line of the lineage of people that have brought this to America so that we can practice this for so many years. This practice has been going on. And I just pay homage to all the teachers and before me that are coming after me, and the teachers that are teaching now. And with humble thankfulness, I thank all of you for showing up, and that you guys are all your own greatest teachers. So thank you to each and every one of you and the teachers that you are to yourselves and to everybody else. If you'd like to bring your hands to the middle of your together and with the thumbs to your sternum, if that feels okay, bowing in gratitude. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, so much for practicing. Really appreciate it. If anybody has any questions or wants to comment on anything, please. I also am going to leave. I don't know how to, I'm very